Welcome to my Claret Sword deck profile. Late, but here it goes. Starting off with the starter of the deck, David himself. Other status are invalid, period. But before we move on to the main deck itself, I would like to clarify that this deck is targeted to be aggressive and mainly using the Force 2 marker, which I'll be explaining further later into the video. Starting off with the Great Trees, I'm playing 5 Great Tree in total, 4 Claret Sword Dragon and 1 Paladin. So Claret's skill is pretty unique and brings alive the aggro playstyle of this deck. On right, you are able to check the top 3 and discard the great ones among them. For each great one, you gain 10k and then shuffle the deck. In the most optimal scenario, you will have thinned the deck further by 3 great ones. Although Vanguard is a pretty luck based game for the drive check, thinning deck is a real thing and helps to improve the chances of hitting triggers. Additionally, this is also why you run Marker 2, as the power for Claret will already be big enough. Withstanding with big power, in this case Marker 1, is good. But however, in most cases, Marker 2 brings a bigger threat to the opponent. As Claret withstand ability is not restricted to opponent's grade like as what is done to Moderate and Gunslot, Claret is able to threaten pretty heavily if you go first. And with Marker 2, it could be game ending. Thus, in most Claret decks, the reason why people will play an absurd amount of great ones to begin with is to have a better chance to mill them off with your other card skills. Next up, Paladin. This card is special in my opinion. There are 2 main reasons why I will play this card. Firstly, it helps to retire your great ones, which are usually stuck on the field, and adding to the drop count. And additionally, it will also plus power to itself and the court rearguard, further pushing for why Marker 2 is better in this case. Secondly, this allows for you to play around your drop zone as if you are a Grand Blue player. The decks run pretty strong grade 2s, and to revive them from the drop gives a lot of burst in power and tempo. One common play I will make is to revive Curse Lancer from the drop zone. Curse Lancer call restrict is only from hand, thus if it's from a drop zone, you can call to an empty rearguard circle. And then by paying the cost of Soul Blast 1, Curse Lancer is hitting for 30k on its own. This card allows Shadow to recycle their drop zone, as in some games you are usually gonna mill most of your grade 2s into the drop zone, and having access to them again is quite important and significant to the tempo of your games. However, only running 1 copy as Counterblast is a main concern, and you will not want to G-assist into this unit as well. Moving on to the grade 2s, the Pride of the deck. 4 Dark Pride Dragon. On placed Vanguard or Rearguard, you can have this unit plus 5k and then you may mill 3. If there's a great one among them, you may counterblast 1 and draw 1 card. At first glance, this card seems pretty weak, as the mill is definitely luck based for the draw 1. However, the main idea of this card is to have the 5k upon riding and calling. The mill is usually only done if you need to accelerate the deck, which is best done when you ride it. The 5k power adds up to the aggro playstyle of the deck, as swinging a 15k to a 8k, 9k, 10k Vanguard. 15k shield is not a full guard, and this might tick off some players. This card is basically the bread and butter of the deck, and it's definitely a fall off. Next, 3 Curse Lancer. This might seem as an overkill to some of you, but I personally enjoy seeing it in my hand and drop zone most of the time. This card is the deck's only counter charger, and you will need it most of the time as an aggro deck. Usually the answer to aggro from the enemy player will be them swinging at your sides, denying further counterblast for you. With Curse Lancer, this allows you to be aggressive, accelerate, and have no drawbacks and outplays by your opponent. The only bad thing about Curse Lancer is that you are unable to get it while it's in your hand, while in certain games can be quite annoying. Additionally, this is a 20k beater on turn 2, basically hitting over damage triggers in the early game, which can be pretty punishing, especially from an aggressive deck. 2 Morian Spears. So, it's a super strong card on turn 2. This card allows you to fill the drop zone pretty fast as well, as you may discard a great one from hand, and also the quick shoes in this current format. But however, I'm only running 2 because I'm mainly using it for cycling, and I prefer heavily my Curse Lancers. It can achieve the same thing as Curse Lancer in terms of power and with almost the same cost of 1 soul. However, mainly due to deck constraints, I'm only running 2 of it. I understand that this is one of the targets of the Grade 1 Blue Espada, but the main idea behind that card is not the plus of it. Lastly, to the Grade 1s of the deck, which I'm running a total of 19. This will also mean Claret can only withstand the maximum of 2 times in the whole game. However, as this deck mainly aims to be aggressive, you will usually end the game latest by the second withstand. So let's begin with the 4 Neymar package. the main engine of the deck, 4 Neymans. Talented players will usually have this turn 1 to thin the deck, and having boosters early game to aggro better. Definitely self-explanatory why you run 4 of these, as you want to see them always. Next in the same package, 3 Sword Breakers and 1 Dead Armor Dragon. Sword Breakers are your go-to plus and is reliable in hand and in deck. From hand, you are able to have it to be a 10k beater, which helps again to be aggressive against your opponent. The Dead Armor Dragon is a special tag which allows any of your unit to be a Musashi. Musashi in this case means guard restrict that requires opponent to use at least 2 cards in hand to guard. In marker 2 games, the Vanguard or Rear Guard is swinging for a weak 5k guard, and when they do not have any intercepts, this guard restrict severely punishes them, and further weakening their resources. However, I personally only play it as I only play one of it, as I do not have a second copy, and the lack of souls can be an issue of this deck. Next up, I will play 4 blue Espada Dragons. So, this card upon place, you will have to mill the top 3 cards of your deck and pick a Claret or Morian Spear among the mill if you have milled them. Lastly, it will plus 10k if you have a total of 5 Great Ones in your drop. This card mainly is an accelerator and you should not be aiming to plus off it as it's rather unreliable. However, a solid Great One nonetheless. Following up, 4 Brand Ones. This card helps the deck consistency as it's only a 5 Grade 3 deck. Upon place from hand, you are able to see the top 5 of your deck and add a Grade 3 among them. Then discard 1 if you have added a card. This is one of the core Grade Ones you will call to a field and help beef up the power as it acts as a searcher upon calling from hand. The other effect from which is having an additional 5k power when you have 3 or more Grade Ones in the drop. Do not underestimate how good this is, as hitting high power early game is very strong and usually will catch opponent off guard. Next, 2 Grade 1 Kanzens. The main reason why I'll run this Grade 1 Kanzen is so that I'm allowed to play 10 crits in my deck. As Claret engine mini mills the deck, there is an unfortunate chance you will mill all of your triggers into the drop zone, and you do not wish to have a scenario whereby you have no more critical trigger left in your deck to threaten your opponent. The other reason why this Grade 1 Kanzen is good to the deck, as it helps to cycle on your first ride. First, fixing your hand is pretty important for an aggro deck as you are mainly working against the clock. Lastly, this switch. There is not much to explain behind this card choice, but mainly to support the lack of power from playing marker 2. Having a power bonus in the main phase and then able to retire it by calling it over using the Grade 3 Paladin is a sick bonus. Lastly, for the rest of the deck, it just triggers, running 10 crit, 4 heal, and then 2 draws. This concludes the end of my deck profile, and I welcome any feedback or questions you guys might have. Thanks for watching till the end.